Hello, hello, hello. Here we are with a surprise guest at the fourth weekend of the Third Global Empowerment Summit. And I'm so happy to have Jeffrey or Jeff in the studio. Hi, Jeff. How are you today?
Hi, Andrea. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone.
So nice to have you here, Jeff. And thank you so much for taking on this interview. And I'm really, really happy to get to know you and learn more about you. So we always do a little warm up. And the first question is always going to, okay, tell us about Jeff. Who is Jeff and what's your purpose here?
Okay, great. Well, thanks for inviting me. So I am Malaysian. I grew up in Penang. Um, I have a British mother and a Malaysian Chinese father. I've lived in Malaysia, the UK, and the US. I used to be a national swimmer for Malaysia many years ago. So sports are something that very close to my heart. I'm very passionate about sport in general, and especially swimming because I was a swimmer. Um, I enjoy connecting with people. I'm a connector. If you've read Malcolm Gladwell's Tipping Point, then I like connecting, and I also like helping others. So that's something else that I'm passionate about.
I love it. And you are very, very modest. Like, I just want to say that you're very modest. But I was announcing you like a 2 times Olympian. And I would like to hear about that also. Like, you were doing this for Malaysia and you were in that team. So how was this feeling? I mean, I always wanted to ask someone who has been there. How was it? And what did you get from there?
Well, it's an incredible experience, I have to say. It's a feeling that you can't really describe it. Walking in the opening ceremony or being in the Olympics itself, it's just so different from anything else. It's an amazing feeling. You feel very proud and honored, and it's very exciting. And also, you feel it's an honor. You're one of the very few people. A small percentage of the global population actually competes in the Olympics, so you really feel very honored and very humbled as well because you're here with all these amazing other amazing human beings. So yeah, wonderful experience. Very hard to describe, but nothing like it really.
So what is your memory that you still have from this time and that really like ingrained into your memory from one of your events when you were there? What would be that one memory that is like still there?
Well, there's so many. I've had a fantastic, career. So many memories, lots of memorable experiences at different, games and sports competitions, swimming meets. It's hard to describe. I mean, the Olympics definitely is the pinnacle of that. Being able to compete on the global stage and in such an amazing arena, right? So that is definitely memorable. But also, I think in 1991, which is a long time ago, I represented Malaysia at the World Student Games. So I swam the 1500 meters freestyle, and I set a time which was the 14th fastest in the world that year, and I set the Malaysian record, and it was also an Asian record. And it lasted for 3 years as an Asian record, but it's still the Malaysian national record today, which is 31 years, more than 31 years later. So, that's probably one of the highlights of my career as well.
We will have someone next year, another surprise record holder, Guinness record holder coming up, and he will also tell us about that. I think these records are kind of moving people forward, and you and I, we both are sports people, and I think when you are at the competition, it's always good to do something that lasts for longer, and then you are the one who is having that name, that title, and it brings a great feeling, and it's also your legacy. So congratulations. That's all about being the fan kind of interviewer. And
Thank
now
you.
we will go back to the topic that you brought today, which is very exciting. It's about smart goal setting and positive thinking in order to transform and sustain. And I think this is again a long title that we just start bit by bit to help people to understand and to actually show your perspective, because it's always interesting how people interpret these kind of titles and ideas. So first of all, smart goals. So what are the smart goals for you? What do you define under smart goals?
Well, a lot of people know SMART goals as specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So in coaching and in a lot of business settings, we have become familiar with the acronym SMART. And it does help because if something is specific, if you can measure it, if it's something that you can achieve and it's relevant to what you're trying to achieve, like the goal, and also you need a timeline for it, right? A time, you can't say, I'm going to do this whenever I want, right? You need to have some specific time. But smart goal setting can, include that. It can also be thinking smart or working smart. Sometimes we work hard, but we're not really working smart, and that it can be a challenge. So if I can use my swimming experience as an example. So, we trained hard. I would put in the hours in the swimming pool, in the gym. There's a lot of work that goes on. You train 6 days a week, 5 hours a day, 50 weeks a year, right? It's a pretty full on commitment. But and you have your goals, your target times, and you want to achieve certain things at certain competitions and all that. But smart goal setting can also be, working smart as well as working hard. So, for example, if you achieve in a workout, say you could swim 8,000 meters, right, in a 2 hour training session, but it's not just completing that and achieving the times. It's also how do you feel? What kind of frame of mind are you in? Maybe I can improve my stroke technique, my turns, my starts. While I'm swimming, I'm still working on things. And there's the Japanese business principle of Kaizen, which many people might be familiar with, where if you improve a small bit every day, or over a certain amount of time, 1%, for example, over time that becomes 10%, 50%, etc. Right? So if I could improve a little bit of my technique or my time or anything else over time, then that would become a big improvement. So, for example, if I improve my swimming turns, made them faster by say half a second, I swim the 1,500 meters, that could be 7.5 seconds I could drop from my time. So little things like that can make a big difference. So smart goal setting in the sort of acronym, SMART, and also just being smart about the goals you set, I think both are equally relevant and helpful.
I think it's also important that I'm from a lean background, so I was a lean subject matter expert for a long time. So Kaizen is not far from me. I was value stream mapping all the way. So I think that's also something that we all learn in sports. And when I saw, after I was doing, like, I was dancing since I was 6, and I went into lean subject matter expert, and then I was like looking at these tables, and I'm like, wow, that looks like strategizing for a competition and then practicing in determination, and then you put this here and then you try to be better, and then you are looking at, and I'm just always thinking that having a sports background, let it be martial arts, let it be swimming like for you, or running, or for me dancing, it feels like it gives the people a constructive mindset, a broader, bigger picture about life and business even, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I think a lot of the principles in sport, dance, swimming, martial arts, a lot of things that we do as physical activities are translatable to the business world or even to our personal life. So, like you said, if you're training, the dedication, the determination, the discipline, that mental strength, that mental fortitude, all that can really make a big impact in all areas of our lives. So yeah, definitely whatever we learn outside of school and in sport or in the arts or in physical activities, definitely very relevant to business and to life.
I think it's very strong on self-leadership, right? I mean, that's the thing that it helps us to gain the power of self-leadership, because it's not just our mother telling us, okay, get yourself together and then go to the training, but it's also us, because we are so motivated to win, to go there and to have that achievement ourselves, not by someone else. And I think that's something that I guess you are also teaching to the leaders of the future that you are training and mentoring, that self-leadership is one of the most important things that we can learn.
Absolutely. And when we lead our by example or ourselves, leading with self and leading with purpose, we are all leaders. Everyone has a capability to be a leader in their community, in their group, in their workplace, in their family, etc. And it all starts with the self. If you're self-motivated, you can achieve a lot. If someone forces you to do something, like if I was forced to go swimming, I wouldn't last very long. But because I loved it, I enjoyed it, and I really wanted to improve and had that self-discipline, that self-motivation, there's no substitute for it. So you're right, it does make a big difference. And that's where the positive mindset comes in, right? Because being, having a positive mindset, a growth mindset can really help us to improve, not just in a sort of business sense or in any set goal sort of situation, but just in general in life. So I really feel, yes, there are a lot of things that we can benefit from in terms of, if we can just have that right mindset or that positive thinking attribute, it can really make a huge difference.
I think that's a good point here. And then back to the positive thinking. I think it's also important in how you improve other people's life, right? Because when you have this positive attitude towards yourself, you will have more confidence to help other people and to bring them up. And then you can spread the positivity. And on this note, I want to ask you, like, what are the things that you are doing nowadays? I know that you did a lot of things in the past, and Charm is here saying like, wow, Jeffrey Ong, remember his victories before. So they remember you and they are here with you, Alchan, okay, fellow Penang Knight. So they are all knowing you from your past experience, but they may not know what are you doing, what are you up to nowadays. So tell us a little bit about how your days are going. What is exactly that you're focusing on today?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for the comments there, Al and Sham. So thanks for remembering, and for fellow Penangites. Penang people were very supportive of each other, very communal. So that's really good to see another Penangite in here, and someone remembering my sports days. So I do lots of things. At the moment, I'm involved with human capital development. So I do some facilitation, working with organizations in how to upskill and empower their people. So sort of learning and development in the corporate environment mainly. And as you mentioned earlier, Andrea, what we do ourselves can also help others. So I do apply what I can to train or facilitate others in the workforce or elsewhere. I give talks. I give motivational talks. I've done mentoring for the youth in particular, and it's just like I said, being a role model, leading by example is important. And I always like this analogy that when you're on an airplane and the oxygen mask drop down, right, and then they always say help yourself first before you help others, and that's very true in life and in general, because if you look after yourself and you're able to deal with things and cope with things, then you can also be able to help others a lot better. And whatever we've gone through, another Penangite saying hi there, Jaga, I think is the
And she
name
was a
there.
marathon runner before.
Wow, fantastic. Well, I could never do a marathon. That's fantastic. I really, kudos to you on that. That's fantastic. So really, whatever I've learned in life, I can share with others and help others. But I always believe that everyone has the solutions, the tools, the ideas inside of them to really make a difference in their life. We all have that. We can just unlock it or tap into that the ability to actually overcome anything and to improve ourselves and be better people. So I don't think when I train or when I help people, it's not so much about telling them what to do, or it's really about encouraging them to figure out the solutions. The only person who can help you is yourself. So if you're willing and able to make changes and transform yourself, if that's what is the goal, then it starts with you. So once you take the first step and then keep moving, things can often happen at a great pace.
Love this. I think we are very aligned on this point. And then let's go back to the sports, because we were mentioning determination, we were mentioning a lot of things, how it helps. But I think you also, like me, we are using this in many areas of our life. So what are exactly the biggest benefits that you can say that it's coming from your sport background nowadays, when you are doing business, when you're training people, when you are doing your daily life? So what are the things that are really, you think it's thanks to your sport background?
Well, even though swimming is an individual sport, but there's always a lot of other people involved. Nobody is successful on their own, right? So family, friends, teammates, coaches, officials, there's so many elements. I always say, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a community to raise a champion. So, I don't take credit for my successes. It goes to my family, my coaches, teammates, and all that. And I think when you're swimming, even though I'm training on my own, but I have teammates, we support each other, we encourage each other. You meet different people when you go to swimming meets. You meet all different characters from all over the world, especially when you're in the Olympics and you're meeting people from so many countries from all around the world. So you learn to deal with different cultures, different personalities, different languages. And I think that's really helped me a lot because I've worked in international business. I've had clients from all over Asia, Middle East, Europe, South America, Africa. So it's really helped me to adapt to people and be able to connect and get to know each other better.
So the connection and the community approach is coming back because of all the things that we do throughout our sports career. And then because this weekend is all about sustainability and the digital transformation. So I will ask you about both. Basically, let's start with the easiest thing. How do you see this digital transformation going around, and all the people on their mobile phones, and all the metaverse coming up, and all these things, the crazy things that we can see that will be in the future? What's your take on that? How are you involved in this? Can you see something that you are happy to use in the future, a new technology, or are you a little bit like, okay, waiting and seeing what will happen?
Well, I mean, we all use technology, one way or another, right? And yeah, nice comment there from Sham. Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. And I think what is really important is that we look at technology and sustainability as being very much hand in hand. Technology is great; it has a lot of benefits. It's how we use it. It's not that technology is good or bad. It's how do we incorporate it into our lives. You can't, I mean, the only constant is change, so we can't always fight change. The digital transformation is happening as we speak, and it's so fast, it's exponential in terms of growth. To me, it's all about managing the human side. So the sustainability of it. It's not just the technology. If you do a digital transformation of an organization, but the people's hearts and minds are not with it, they don't support it, or they don't know why they're doing it, or how are they going to adapt to the change, you get a lot of resistance, you get a lot of unhappiness, and that can really create problems in the workforce. So to me, these are definitely hand in hand. Technology without the human benefit or the human interaction is very challenging. And sustainability is not just about the environment, it's about business sustainability as well. You may onboard a lot of technologies and systems and processes and structures, etc. But is it really helping your business? Is it really helping your people? And not just yes or no, is it or not, but how is it doing that? Right? You can measure the metrics, the success, but it's equally important to also take into consideration other people's feelings and how they deal with it. So again, empathy is very important. So the human side of digital transformation is what I'm actually very interested in.
And what do you think makes a difference between having a human digital transformation, a sustainable transformation, and having something that is far away from, not taking that into consideration? So what makes the difference here? Is it the leader? Is it how we approach it? Is it the empathy? So what do you think is the key thing here to do it right?
It's actually everything. It starts from the top down. So the leader will set the agenda for the organization in terms of the transformation, and there'll be other stakeholders involved. However, at the same time, I work with a lot of HR leaders, and so they're very much concerned with the effect on the people. And very often when people do digital transformation programs, it's all about the tech and the process and the structure and all that, but without taking into account the sort of feelings or the thoughts of the staff or the people. So very often people implement the technological change the whole tech side, the digital infrastructure and all that. But then afterwards, to tell people, okay, this is what you're doing now, right? And the people say, well, I was never consulted. Nobody asked me, or how do I do this? So if we can do them at the same time, if the process involves people saying, look, we're doing this and it's going to benefit you, we'd like your input, or how can you suggest to make this better, etc. And then the workforce will be more engaged and more there'll be more buy-in from them in terms of, this is actually a great idea and they want my input, they value my opinion, so let me share and let's make this work, rather than saying, we're doing this, all of you have to do it, we don't care what you think, deal with it, kind of thing, right? So I think they go hand in hand, and that's why HR, strategy, business leaders all need to work together to make this a very successful program for the organization.
I think the sustainability is also the key here, because I was working for multinational companies earlier, and I had many times this kind of swiping everything out, like a new leader is coming, a new strategy is coming, we have to take care of the KPIs, so let's change everything. And then whatever we did for X years, it just have been like zeroed out, like with a snap of a finger. And I think that's what needs to change. That's what has to somehow get into our mindset, that sustainability is about keeping those changes alive and to implement it and have the transformation and keep that result. And then it's an upward cycle. It's not like going back to the base and starting from the bottom again, but we had to start on the top where we left it, and then lift further, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I agree.
I think it's so great. We had such a beautiful conversation, and I think it's also, I really feel that every single time I meet someone who has a sports background, it's just so easy to talk, because all these upward cycles, all the economy behind, I'm an economist also, as of my diploma. But when I see, like, we don't need too much. We need general thinking. We need general understanding. And then once we have that, you don't need the diploma behind. You just need this common sense of helping everyone and not going back to the bad base, but to continue together from where it's left off, right?
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. And we can all do it together. We can help each other. We can motivate each other, encourage each other. And we're all learning, right? We're lifelong learners. We learn from this interview we're having. I'm learning a lot about you and about even myself. So, this is fantastic. And also from the comments that people have been sharing. Thank you for that. Nice to get feedback and some input from those of you who are joining us.
Yes, thank you, Jegal and Charm, for following the conversation. And also, if you're watching it later, please feel free to write your questions, because if anything is there, I will put it and send it to Jeff, and he can come back and answer it later. So Jeff, I see Jess already in the in the studio, so I will bring Jess. She will be next. But for now, I will also bring up Jeg's comment. So Andrea, it's great to bring in unsung heroes after so many years. So I think you have a little bit of memory moment here. All the Malaysian Penang Knights are remembering you, and you are an unsung hero for them. So I think that's also a great thing to get on a Saturday afternoon, right?
I know, it's so nice. Thank you all so much for your warm feelings and the nice thoughts. I really appreciate it.
So I let you continue your afternoon, and thank you so much for you did this for us, and thank you for showing up here and helping and empowering others by the values that you share. And we may see you later if it comes. And Summer Olympics 88 and 92.
Good memory, Al. Yes, that was right. And also Nurul Huda was another top swimmer around the same time that I was around.
Yeah, here you go. So they are having,
well done, everyone.
Going with the memory lane on you.
Yeah, it's lovely. Thanks for remembering and for appreciating my efforts. It was really an honor to represent Malaysia back in those days.
Well, thank you for being here, Jeff. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful afternoon, and enjoy it with your family. It's a beautiful day today, so I think it's amazing. I was enjoying the sunshine in the morning, and we will see you later. And then thank you so much for being here.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Bye-bye. See you. All right, switching speakers. And this part of the conversation and this part of the event is Terry Gani and his friend. So Jeff is also one of Terry's friend, and I'm so happy that we could have this beautiful conversation with him. And we are continuing the conversation by bringing up Jess Claire, and Jess Claire is doing amazing things, and I want her to explain them. But before I do that, I just will welcome you. Hi, Jess. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I heard so many good things about you, and so many things that you are doing is just amazing. And we will talk about it a lot. But
Yes.
Before we get there, please just introduce yourself a little bit so that the audience can get familiar with you.
Yes, sure. So I'm Jess Claire. I'm from Brisbane, Australia. So I live in Brisbane, Australia. I head up the product division in Zingify, which is a global technology and digital product development company. And it's a little bit different, which is why I think, Terry talks about it a little bit, because it does have a focus on what I would call humanity-led ideas and reshaping ideas that reshape the world. And we work with some incredible people that have got some amazing platforms that are being built all over the world. So that's what I do. My experience can best be described as saying 13 years in corporate and financial services, doing the same thing. And my business partner and I went, we've got to take what we do here in creating all these income streams and creating all these ideas through a corporate channel, and we've got to put this into a place that makes a real difference for the planet. And so that's what we did. So that's me. And I'm here now.
We have to elaborate on this. And I believe every single time I ask these questions, I really want to have at least one person who is telling about themselves also something. So something personal, something relatable, because we are living in a times when, a lot of information is coming towards us, but knowing the people and connecting with them in personal level will really help the people to, relate to you and digest the information what we are bringing up here later a little bit better. So tell us a little bit more about your personal side. How do you relax? What do you like to do? What's your favorite holiday place? Something personal.
Okay. No, this is good. I love a real authentic raw conversation. So I can go really raw. Or I could go middle of the line. So I in my spare time, I'm actually a stand-up comedian.
Wow, we have to have some of that.
Yes, I've only just started. I did it about 2 years ago, and I chose to do it because it was one of the hardest things I could do. And it really is about product development too, and the process and all of that. So I have a real affinity. Like what matters really to me is that people around me feel as though no matter how much they mess up, no matter how much the process of life is kind of like this roller coaster, that it's okay. And what matters is that we're all really kind, loving, and we appreciate each other. So I do it because I kind of want to demonstrate how much I can humiliate myself and embarrass myself and be okay with it and be at peace with myself, despite if I have had shows where, 16 shows in a row, nobody laughed at any of my jokes. And it was very humbling. It was very humbling not being good at something, but being on stage. So, I don't know if that's personal.
No, that's very vulnerable, and I think I love that you were sharing some vulnerability here, and we are all have been there. I mean, I am very bad at jokes. I never try anymore to tell any jokes because I just forget them. I'm starting at the first line and then I don't know anymore, and I'm making it, screwing it and everything. So I think it's very good to practice, and then sometimes you will have some good lines, sometimes you will have some good laughs, but then you are laughing at yourself.
Exactly.
And I think that can be fun too.
Yes, absolutely.
So you see, you already have a job here. Alchan is inviting you to come to Crack House Comedy Club because his school friend owns the Crack House, so you can come and perform there. I was there once, and it was amazing experience. It's like those dark corner bars when you can perform very raw, authentically. So
good. Great.
All right, Jess, let's start the conversation.
Sure.
We have a little bit of echo, so try to go backwards a little bit. Let me see what I can do about the echo.
Oh, is there an echo? Oh, that's
Yes,
nice.
yes.
Hello, Jeff and Terry. And
Yes,
I think I saw Al. I don't think I can see everyone that's on, can I?
It's okay. I think we have Alchan, we have Jag, we have Sharm. So we have some viewers, and we also have Terry in the backstage because he's in the studio already. And
Okay, great.
Your topic is building innovative technology from scratch. And all this weekend, we are talking about digital transformation and sustainability. So let's just get to this title about innovative technology. What do you define under innovative technology? What is innovative tech for you?
What is innovative tech for me? Well, it's two things. One can be something so left field that solves a problem in such a way that we could never have seen it coming. Like what I'd call something we didn't know that we didn't know, but it was a want we'd had, but we didn't even know we had it until it was there. And something like that is the iPhone or smartphones, for example. You know, and I tell this story. We weren't sitting around, 10, 20 years ago, about 20 years ago now, with our Nokia 8210s or whatever they were. Everyone's got a different version of these,
the big
phones
blocks,
we used to have. And we weren't thinking, I need everything in my life in the palm of my hand. We weren't thinking that. But there were people out there that were sensing that need. And like Steve Jobs and his business partners and people around him. It wasn't him in isolation. But there were people thinking about this, seeing this need and acting on building something and growing something that would make a real difference. And here we are, I'm on live with you right now because of some of these technologies that it's made available.
Yeah, so we were talking about this, that back in the times, like a few years back when I was still playing on my Commodore 65 and I was still rewinding the tapes to play some games. And I was like imagining, okay, how would I do this conference if I would be still there? Because I couldn't bring together 130 people from all around the world for 5 weekends to do that, because it's just impossible to talk to people like at that time. Like I would have spent a lot of money by calling them on the phone. So this is just crazy how much technology develops and how innovative people were when they invented what you were talking about, the phones, the iPhones, just the camera, like how advanced the camera is in a phone. And before we needed separate camera as a photographer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We used to carry them around when we were traveling. Now we just need our phone for most things. So that's a real distinct kind of blind spot innovation where no one even saw it coming. But when it came, it was like, I've always needed this, that sort of thing. And then there's sort of obvious innovations that are just as important and people don't necessarily think of them. They're not as sexy. Like the iPhone's a sexy innovation. It's kind of cool, or what Elon Musk is now doing with, electronic vehicles and Tesla. Oh, that's a sexy innovation. But then there's other things that just make our life a little bit more easy and yet at the same time make a big difference, like innovations like Dropbox, where you just have this place where you can share information. You just didn't realize how important that was. It's like so annoying that we can't send an email. We used to press send and then we'd cut it up into 50 pieces so that we could get it through. And those innovations are not left field because we kind of see, oh, thank goodness someone did it. And a lot of people could see that it was needed. But the thing is, no, the amount of people that go, someone should do that, but never do it. That is the story of my life. Someone should do that. Is the comment that is mostly made by every single human being on the planet. And yet I think, why don't you do it? So for me, innovation lives in all of us. Like it is not, you don't have to, study and be like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. And, 20 years ago, no one cared about who they were. They weren't a somebody back then. 30 years ago. They were just a person, you know, like you or I, giving something a go. And
what do you think makes the difference between a person like them who are really making it or going for it? Because I feel that that's the point here, what you already mentioned, that people have these ideas. I don't believe that people don't sing under the shower and don't have ideas. I mean, everyone has ideas. It's
absolutely.
just that why don't they get to the stage when they are brave enough to pitch it or when they are brave enough to make it happen?
I think there's a couple of things. The first one is that people don't think that their ideas are good ideas. They look at people on TV, like the ones who are really in the big businesses right now, you know, the Elons, the, you know, Mark Zuckerbergs, the people who invented Bitcoin, like all these people, Jeff Bezos. You look all of these people and think, I'm not like them. And so you see the end product after 20, 30 years and think you have to be like them now.
Right now, without all the fails.
That's right, without the process. So this is the difference. And the difference is that Jeff Bezos, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, whatever, they never did it thinking they were going to become what they've become. They just had a passion. They had an idea. They gave it a go and they kept allowing it to unfold. And, you know, at the time that they did it, there was a whole, you know, technology revolution going on that they probably didn't even realize was happening. So they fell into the right timing. But right now, it's the same. There's a massive revolution going on. It is a platform revolution. Everything is, there is no normal anymore. There's no new normal. There's just no normal. And it's just, this is no normal on repeat. You know, so this is a thriving time for anyone's ideas to take off. More investment is being offered than it ever has been. You know, people are worried, but there is so many people with money wanting to invest in great ideas in technology. It's taking off big time. So now is a great time. And there are some people that are going, I'm going to do it. And then there are some people that are like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not one of those people. So that idea, I'm not one of those people, that is the only difference between someone that does it and someone that doesn't.
And in your view and what you are doing nowadays, thinking about building innovative technology from scratch. So how do you do that? How do you source the people who are doing it, or you are inventing something for yourself? Or how is the process for you as Jess? Like how does this innovation process look like for you?
How does it look like for me? So I see everyone as a walking idea, a platform that is waiting to take off. That for me, everyone looks and views the world a particular way. So there's not a person I couldn't do this work with. And then there's an innovation process. So all there is you, the way you see the world and your ideas. And then you allow yourself to get sucked into the process and you'll pop out the other end with a business. Okay. So that's how I see it. But people don't realize that it's simply a process. They think they have to be a certain person. So the first thing is to say, no, you do not have to be a certain person. You just need to allow yourself to go through the innovation process and the process of building a digital platform or a platform business. And if you know that process or you know people that know that process, you will be able to do it.
And how can we help this innovative thinking? I think it starts also in childhood, but we were having a little bit of like brainstorming about this with Nigesh Armon from Leaderonomics and then Nicole, that he was mentioning that he doesn't believe in anymore that it's all starts with the kids, but also adults can change. Adults can change their mindset and they can turn into something different also throughout their adulthood and when they are already like made by society. But what do you think, where does this innovative thinking rooting from? Does it have to start in education when you are a child, or can someone turn into an innovative idea master when they are already like 65 and they have seen the world and then they bring that idea here? So how does it start? What helps to become more innovative?
Oh, absolutely. There is absolutely no age on this. I mean, neuroscience, brain science, everything tells us that we have a right brain. Everyone's got one. It's not that you can't live without your right brain. So we all have a right brain. It's our ability to tap into that side of ourselves, and then we access our innovation. Everyone's got different ways of doing it. It's a willingness to be able to go, and a willingness to accept that you can. There's a lot of people that go, oh, I'm not like that. I'm a logical person, or, I'm really left-brained, or I couldn't do that. And it's okay. Like, not everyone has to go and, create the kind of ideas that reshape the world. But the point is that anyone can tap into the right brain. Now, it does take, I have a practice every morning of sitting outside for 10 to 15 minutes, just doing nothing. And I actually talk to the plants, right?
It's good for the plants, actually. They say that it's very, very good for the plants when you're talking.
I talk to the plants. I even have another practice where I close my eyes and I imagine I'm at a board, like a table with my board, my imaginary board. And when I say board, I mean like, the CEO and the chairman and this person. And the people at my board are Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey. Like, I imagine all these people that inspire me, and then I'm having a conversation with them. Now, the reason that matters is because it's kind of weird. So it opens up the right brain. It's not logical. These people aren't in front of me. It doesn't make sense. Yet there's a lot of random wisdom I get from doing that. So I feel like I actually have these conversations. They tell me things that I never even thought of, and then I go and implement them, and it's like, wow, I just like tapped in to the knowledge and wisdom of these masters. So that may sound silly, but it's opening that part of ourselves that is creative and innovative. So how do you?
Sounds like the Jedi meetings and the Star Wars.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm sitting here and I'm Yoda and I'm thinking.
Yeah. But it's just a practice to allow that part of my brain to open up.
No, I love it. I think everyone has some specific. I think this is all connected because there are so many coaches and everyone is telling us which meditation works. And I remember myself like pushing myself, trying yoga, trying meditation, doing so many things. And every single time I came back, okay, I just have to dance because that's for me, what works for me to switch off my mind. So why would I force myself to do something that is not working for me if I already have something here that can help me, right?
See, that absolutely. And I was the same. I tried the meditation things, the meditation thing as well, and it just didn't work for me. And I'm like, no, I can't do this. So I just started talking to my plants.
So you found something that is working for you.
Yeah, and I loved it. And then I imagined this board. I actually got the idea from Think and Grow Rich, the book, Napoleon Hill's book. And there was something like that in the book. And I got the idea and I just started practicing, and it made a difference. So there's all, like you said, that is just one way. Whatever has you get out of that everyday task-based kind of Groundhog Day, I do this, I get up, I do that, anything that takes you away. It could be dancing, it could be writing, it could be just sitting down and doing nothing, meditation, yoga, personal development, cooking, anything. People say they have their best ideas in the shower. It's because it's a similar thing. You're just going away from your normal kind of logical life.
So true. We have a few comments coming in, so let me just read them out. Sure. So the first one is, sometimes most of the innovation challenge around the world are age-based. Most often specifies between 18 and 35 years old. So I don't know about the statistics here. I don't know whether you know more about it, but I don't know whether it's true or not. But thank you for the.
I don't know how to comment on that. The only thing I'd say, because I'm not sure now, I feel like I want to have a conversation with you, whoever you are, so I can get clear on what it was that you intended. But most often specifies 18 to 35. So I think what they're referring to is that the opportunities for innovation are generally given to that age bracket.
Maybe, or even that
Yeah.
they get the most ideas. So please, if you can just elaborate on this so that we can
For sure.
continue the conversation. And then Betty's saying a real good idea to have an imaginary board. Think of people as if you could converse with big guys. Be innovative and creative. This is really inspiring and speaking to the plant. So she likes everything what you just said.
I'm glad. Thank you, Betty.
And Jack is saying also great spiritual mastery for wisdom. I love it, and I'm going to try that. And we have one more. It's about a menstrual hygiene advocate who is like, love to source for materials to make reusable pads. And I love to have partners who they can rub the mind, so brainstorm about it. I guess that's also the idea here about innovation. You don't have to do it alone, right?
Oh,
the
no.
more heads put together, the better.
Yeah, in fact, there's an app out there called Swarm that I came across, and the app itself, it's an AI technology, and what its whole basis is that the AI works by getting groups of people together, and in the group they get asked a question they know nothing about, but the AI looks at all the answers, and whenever there's tension, it then moves the dial until the group change their mind and they're all aligned. And then once they're aligned and they pick an answer, it's nearly 95% right, 95% correct. So what AI is telling us is that it is together that we are able to come out with the best answers, with the best thinking. And when we resolve the tension between us, because working in groups is not easy. But when we resolve that tension and being committed to the resolution of that tension, that's actually where the answers lie. And that's where the greatest innovations come from. And AI is even telling us this. So it's really, I'm like, you can't innovate alone, actually. I would almost say it's impossible to innovate alone, because we are together, we create exponentially. On our own, we're so limited.
It reminds me on the escape rooms and the tension in the escape room. Who wants to solve? Until there is this escape room, you are in there with your team and you try to get out of the room and solve all the riddles. And then there is first this kind of like, okay, I don't want him to be the first one finding it out. I want to be the first one finding it out. And then you are doing the riddles, and then okay, let it be. I will give my idea. He's giving me my, and then we get out of the room. But if you stick to your idea, you may stay in this room because you will never get out.
Yeah, absolutely. There is something very sacred about what kind of, I guess you'd say, arises or comes up or that evolves when individuals work together and stay committed to resolving the tension between ideas. So a lot of the time people will avoid the tension and then go off on their own, or someone will dominate the tension and then kill off other people's ideas. Now, both of those ways just don't seem to, in all the research that we've seen, don't seem to generate those kind of ideas that really make a difference. But resolving it and sticking with it and working together, that seems to be where the sweet spot is.
Love it. Thank you for all these shares, and thank you for sharing your opinion. In the same time, the sun is coming up again, so it's beautiful to see the sun coming.
Are you in Malaysia? No, you're not in Malaysia.
Yes, I'm in Kuala Lumpur. Yes. So it was a bit more rainy, and now it's coming out. So good conversation, lighting up the space around us. And I think the last question that I will ask before I'm bringing Terry up is about the future for you. Like, what are your plans? What's coming up for you in the next 2023? What are your big plans, your big innovation strategy?
What are my big plans? That's a good question. So my big goal, big goal, and I won't be doing this in 2023. It'll be between 2023 and 2043, is to create 10 unicorn companies for leaders who are all about reshaping the world and making a difference to people and planet. So we work with many people already, and it's going to take about 100 ideas to get those 10. So that's my whole life. My whole life is about taking people's ideas, implementing them, and just go. So that's what my 2023 is about. That's what we do at Zingify. It's all of it is just let's get these ideas and let's get them into the world.
Love it. So I wish you all the unicorns in the world. Hope you get them all, and we may see you back a little bit later after Terry's session for a common panel about sustainability. I will be waiting for that. But now I will be just bringing up Terry, and for now I will say goodbye to you, Jess. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you later.
See you
Bye-bye.
later. So switching speakers in the studio and bringing up Terry because we are talking to his friends already. So Jeffrey was already in the studio. We saw Jess, and now here is the man himself, the TEDx speaker, the owner and the founder of Humanity Inc., Terry, who has been here at the beginning of the Global Empowerment Summit, and he is ever since there and supporting us every single year. So here you go. Hi, Terry. How are you today?
Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Two hatters coming together.
This energy closed up completely. Otherwise it gets too hot.
So true, Terry. And welcome at the stage of the Global Empowerment Summit. And thank you so much for bringing in your friends. They all have been warmly welcomed by other Penang Knights and all the people who are supporting and knowing Jeff's result and knowing him from the Olympic times. And I think it's just, it's good to see how people are still sticking together and supporting each other. And thank you also for introducing Jess to us. And now, before we start, because not everyone knows you, of course, I want you to first introduce yourself so that everyone can know, even those who are just watching it later and not right now. Who is Terry and what's your purpose here in this world?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, Elle. Hi, Jess. Hi, Jeff as well. And everybody else. It's brilliant. Yes, who's Terry Gunny? Terry Gunny is this crazy person who was in the advertising industry for many years, almost 30 years. And that's why I really don't have much hair left. It's all burnt out during my advertising days. So in my advertising days, if you watch Netflix, there's a program that I watched yesterday which brought back memories. It's called Pepsi, Where's My Jet? And we watch it. It's really about what happened with Pepsi, and they made a promise to deliver a Harrier jet in a competition, which they didn't. So just watch it. It's crazy. But the reason why I talked about it is because all my clients, we only handle the most expensive clients with the most huge budgets. And these were the alcohol companies, the tobacco companies, the gambling companies with lots of budgets, except they couldn't spend it because this is Malaysia and it's very restricted markets. So my business was basically to use our technology to bring their brand to young people. So my call to fame was marketing contentious products to young people. And of course, there is a karma behind it because I then found that my children were the target audience. And today, they're probably the ones who smoke and drink more than I can see anybody else. That's karma. So now I'm using whatever skill set I have and experience to do some good, which is to start a foundation. And the foundation basically addresses young people. And what it does is that we've realized that people and my age, I'm a boomer, except the fact that I'm slightly different from typical boomers. Boomers all focus on making money because they have a limited time on this planet. So if they are focusing on making money, they don't really care about the planet. It's about making money today because there's no tomorrow for them. And people argue, but what about the children? They don't really care because they're making so much money that the children can be sent to Mars, for instance. Yeah. So with me, the foundation focuses on trying to get young people to be a little bit more centered in the way they think, to bring the sense of humanity back to humans. And that's our tagline. And that's what I do.
I just love it. I think we aligned many years ago when we met first and we started our conversation, and there's so many things that you do and it's just beautiful. The whole commitment, the determination, so that you can make it happen, and you are doing it for an amazing purpose. And I think we will talk about this more, but let's just step into your topic before we got into the more deeper sustainability when Jess is coming back. So you chose for your individual interview the title Conscious Capitalism, and we were talking about the way how capitalism is maybe not the best thing today to have. Maybe social aspects are also playing into the picture. Maybe it's like good to mix it. Maybe there is a change needed in the world to change the economic standards and the way how we think about things. And I think conscious capitalism is one of the solutions, right? Circulating right now. So tell us a little bit about your title. What is conscious capitalism for you? What is your definition?
Beautiful. Thank you, Andrea. Yes, watch that movie. It's amazing. Pepsi movie. I'm not advertising for Pepsi, they're not my client.
No problem.
Yes, conscious capitalism. I just absolutely love this word. I can't own it because somebody else started it, but we're advocates of it. So if you guys have been watching the current news, today is the last day of COP27, which is the summit for discussing climate change. 27 years ago, we've been discussing this issue and how much move that we've made in terms of trying to address it. Well, the results speak for themselves, because the scientists are now saying that the prediction is not 1.5 degrees higher, but we're going to hit 3 degrees higher, which is insane, right? And so what's the issue behind this? Well, one of the biggest issues behind this is the fact that if you run a company, if you're a director of the company, if you're the owner of the company, what's your responsibility? Your responsibility largely is to provide an year-on-year growth in dividends to your shareholders, whoever they may be. Yeah. So that's your responsibility. So to deliver that, you just want to do more and more business, which means if your business uses resources that are natural, is there enough natural resources to recycle? There isn't, because there are so many millions of companies thinking the same way. So now you have companies trying to derive infinite growth on a little planet with finite resources. The two will never, ever meet. And that's why conscious capitalism came about, because everybody thinks, no, Terry, if you want to be one of these ESG, CSR, tree-hugging organizations or companies, you can't make money. It's impossible to make money, because if you install all these systems to prevent all the effluents from coming out from the chimneys, it costs a lot of money. If you look for different technology to try and make sure that we don't use too much fossil fuel electricity, it costs a lot of money, and our margins become very, very small. So I smile and say, yeah, it's not a matter of the technology or the problem, it's a matter of your mindset. And why do I say that? Because, by the way, if you guys are free tomorrow morning at 9, I'm actually doing a masterclass on this very subject.
10.
10 a.m. I'm doing a talk about it at length. So one of the things that's so obvious is that there are thousands of companies in the world that practice conscious capitalism, which means everything they do has an impact, a positive impact, not only on their people, but on the planet itself. This is what they call the triple bottom line, which means you make sure the people profit, the planet profit, and your company profits. So who says that all three can't be had? I mean, it's literally having your sustainable pie and eat it as well. It's true, because so many companies have done it. So, a lot of naysayers say, Terry, those companies are American companies. So what's the difference? American, Malaysian, Australian, they're all the same principle of running businesses. And by the way, a lot of people forget that most companies, especially the listed companies, are under the Securities Commission of any country. And there are regulations that stipulate that you need to follow an ESG guideline, which means you need to show what are you doing for sustainability? How are you addressing the 17 sustainable goals? And yet there's still companies who say, the SC or the Securities Commission is forcing us to do this, so we'll just hire an officer and let him or her pretend that we're doing it. This is insane, right? Why do you pretend when you can actually do it?
And you spend money on pretending it. I think that's the most ridiculous thing. And instead
It
of
is.
saving money by implementing things, you are spending money on pretending that you're doing it.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that a lot of people say, Terry, what drives you? I mean, you're a boomer, right? Most people your age, past 60, should be on the golf course with your Panama and playing golf. In front of screens and doing keynote talks around the world, TED Talks. Well, because I have 4 children, and the oldest is 35, and the youngest is 12, and in between I have a special needs child. Well, I call him a child, but he's 29 years old. And by the way, he went and voted today, which is his first day. His mom took him. But the point being that when you have a whole bunch of young people in your life, and you realize that at some point, Terry Gunny is going to die. And what legacy do I leave behind? It's not just for my 4 kids. It's for the 4 kids and the millions, if not billions, of young people around the world. You see, the boomers don't care about them, but the young people care about their world because they're inheriting this blue planet that's turning brown. So, if there's anybody who's got the most to lose, are the young people. And so if you visit humanityinc.org Foundation, it talks about how we empower and inspire young people to be change makers. That's my love.
That's your love and that's your life. I know that. And then you are breathing it. And every time we talk about it, I just get so excited about it. So I think that's also something that we need to talk about it. Your vision of the future generations and how we can be part of this inspiration for them, how we can be part of the solution and not part of the problem. So tell us a little bit about Humanity Inc., the work that you do, and what's your vision behind it? What's this big, hairy, audacious goal that you have in front of you?
Well, we started around about between 2017 and 2018, just before the pandemic, and somehow or other we struggled, and we were able to reach out to 100,000 young people, and that to us has been quite amazing. And of course, again, just as Jeff said, no man is an island. I couldn't do it alone. There's a whole team behind it. But the fact that we were able to reach 100,000 kids, when I say kids, they range from 4 years old to 24 years old. That's our range of kids. And the reason why we approached these people was we have this very powerful 1-hour talk. And the talk is powerful and is based very much on my seminal TED Talk, which talks about the first 2 minutes, what the world is at today, which is quite dismal. But at the same time, we don't really want to go too much into it because it has sent young people into depression when they look at the state of the world. So, but it's just a scene starter, and then we start showing them the amazing technologies that are present today. People with, like Jess and the company are helping promote all these amazing technologies. So the kids are now saying, wow, all these amazing technologies actually exist. And then some very smart kids will say, Terry, I see some of these amazing technologies. They are really saving the world, but how come we don't really see so many of them? So I look at the kids and say, maybe you should talk to your member of parliament why your government hasn't implemented that. You see, there's an agenda for the adults not to have these technologies because somebody obviously is getting something from somebody else. So these new avant-garde technologies that really save the world find it very hard to get in. And so we get the kids now to think about this. Then we also show the kids that some of these technologies are being invented and implemented by kids like them, young kids. And then the kids get really excited, like, wow, you mean these kids actually come up with the idea? They didn't just come up with the idea. They would work with organizations like Zingify, with Jess's company, that can accelerate using technology, using digital platforms to bring it to the world. So you see how amazing that young ideas have. And somebody just now said that wonderful thing that talks about that band of innovativeness. That is true in the sense of the most exciting innovation do come from young people. Not to say that it does not come from the rest of the old people like boomers like me, because I still do innovate. Yeah. So what is so amazing? Yeah, the 18 to 35, exactly. And that's who we're talking to. And what's amazing about these ideas that come out is that today they are in really the realm of young people because young people don't understand the word no. You see, as an adult, we tend to put all the blocks up. Oh, that idea sounds good. Just like what Jess talked about, in the brainstorm, there'll be a dominant personality who say, I don't think that idea is going to work, because of this, because of that, and it dies. But young people don't think about that. Young people actually do the opposite. When one of the kids come up with an idea, the rest of them is Ubuntu, where the rest of them come together and say, yes, it's a great idea. Can we add this and add that and add that? And it comes together so beautifully because it's not about a zero-sum game. Young people believe in this thing called infinite thinking, which is the complete opposite of finite thinking. Finite thinking is what adults do, which is infinite thinking. Means I win, you lose. And that's what today's capitalism is based on. If my company succeeds, you competitors, you're going to lose, right? And that's what's creating the problems in the world. So young people like the Ubuntu concept and collaborate. How can we work together the citizens of a planet to try and save the planet, as opposed to me wanting my 10 Lamborghinis, my 10 houses, and my 5 private jets to fly to Davos to discuss how we save the world. Hello, how many billions of dollars do you require to actually a very good 200 is a little bit much, I thought. Perhaps you want to donate that. Hey, guess what? You've got now Jeff Bezos and his ex-wife donating almost all of their wealth today. And why this is so? Because young people have been repeating that question to him and the billionaires of this world. Do you need all that money? A portion of that can already address the pandemic. A portion of that can already address climate change. Why aren't we doing that? And people are starting voice. And by the way, the reason why I am the way I am is because something happened to me when I was 19 and kind of like locked my brain. So I've been 19 all this while, even though I'm past 60. But maybe that's how young people. My lips are getting very dry. Andrea, you're laughing.
All good, all good. I'm laughing because it's just so aligned, and we are also taught it's all about the future. It's all about how to educate the kids, and it's all about how to give them the opportunities to know more about the solution that are already existing. Because mainly what we see here is that they are getting these mental health issues and all the problems because they losing their faith in the future. They are losing their faith in their own future, that they can have a safe life in the future. So that's what we need to address. It's not about solution today, but it's about the solution for tomorrow, for the future. We cannot think anymore on short terms. We need to solve this once and for all, thinking on the long term, right?
Absolutely. I mean, which is what I'm so passionate about, because when you talk to young people, they look at the world with a different lens. Their lens really is about their future could be, and they have actually a lot more hope than we do. Because as adults, we basically are jaded because we see politics, we see, lots of adults start to go down the rabbit hole and look at conspiracy theories and get even more depressed because they think the whole world's against them, the government's going to kill them, the pharmaceutical company's going to kill them, whatever. We, as people who speak to the children, do not actually touch any of that, because for the young people, what you set in their brain becomes
Okay, let me see. My connection is having some problems. Yeah. Here you go. We are back.
well, technology, right?
Yes, it's always coming like this. Someone is jumping around, and I think it's disturbing my Wi-Fi. All right. So some comments were coming in the meantime. Terry, hats off to you for your energy and passion to address 100,000 young people and instill infinite thinking. Truly inspiring for the boomers to follow your footsteps. And then we have also from Jack, true only we as a baby boomers can guide the millennials. Terry, you are very inspiring. So we have two comments just for you. And let's continue the conversation around this topic. So yes, you were mentioning we need to address this. We need to bring out this infinite thinking and infinite thinking in adults. And what's the way to do that? Because we were thinking to addressing the kids, right?
Yeah.
But then we also need to somehow change mindsets or trigger them to figure it out that this is, because 27 years, I mean, honestly, I will make a big pause here and repeat it again, like almost 30 years of talking. And some young people are coming and like we were talking about Greta and all the great people who want to make a change. And then again, it's all about talking. So what will make the difference? What will make it like not another 30 years spent the same way?
Yeah. Well, I'm very blessed because I've led a life that has real excitement, like a roller coaster. Highs that were amazing and lows that were so depressing because I lost everything. And at that point, of course, you hated your life. But now that I'm past 60, I realize that those were my real life university days, meaning the University of Life, to show me what humans were like when you didn't have money, what humans were like when you didn't have a reputation, and that's when I also realized that there's a huge difference between adults and young people. What's apparent with the young people is that their slate is pretty clear and pretty clean, where they're not influenced yet by this negativeness of adults, the cynicism, the skepticism that eventually turns into this dark thing because it becomes a matter of survival. And then they take on more and more masculine energy, and they start to think that I am right and I'm the only one who's right. I don't want to listen to anybody. And that's what starts a problem. When there is very little cooperation, it's all about me, 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 me. So a lot of people say, yeah, but Terry, that's what the millennials are like. Well, that's what they're like in personality, but that's not what they're like is in team. When you put young people together, they all band together because they want to make a shift in the world. So what we try and do is really the only thing that addresses that shift between what young people are today to become the horrible boomers and adults that are controlling the world today is that fine line. And that fine line basically is the word empathy. And that's one of the things that I've also become a champion of, something called heart-centered leadership. And of course, a lot of people say, Terry, heart-centered leadership sounds like one of these utopian ideas. Like you go and hug trees and you
too idealistic.
Yeah, idealistic, you ain't gonna make money. You gotta be like Elon Musk and be fierce. 7,500 people just like that. I don't care because the company has to prosper. But hey, those are people who are parents. There's something called tough love. You are still assertive with your children, but you still love them. You have that beautiful balance. The same thing as running an organization. So heart-centered leadership is not a namby-pamby, must take care of the staff and whatever. No, it's everything you are as a leader. The only difference is that you connect with each human being as a human being. You see, the powerful people today they see human beings as numbers. If I need to get rid of 11,000 people, I get rid of 11,000 people. Do they connect with these people? No, I don't want to, because I want to lock my heart so I can't feel that. So it's a vicious cycle, because if you lock your heart and not feel what it's like to fire 11,000 people and make them suffer because they now have no jobs, it's that same closed heart that doesn't really care about the planet, would they? And that's where the problem starts. So with the young people, we're ensuring that the part of empathy starts to open up as much as we can while they're young. And one of the ways to do it is, number one, show them the technologies that are shifting the world. Number two, find ways that they can even come up with some crazy ideas and create a platform for that. And three, show them that creating ideas or working with organizations that have crazy ideas that save the planet is no longer the domain of typical NGOs where you come to work in shorts and long hair and braided hair and, hey, dude, I don't need money, I'm going to save the world. That whole concept is dead. The new concept is that you can work in organizations, whether they're foundations, charities, or even impact businesses. They make a change and they pay you well as any other organization. So that mindset has to be completely changed. And this is what we deliver to young people. And at the end of the day, what we also want to get the young people to understand that if you work in a 9-to-5 job, it's a drudgery. Yeah. And by the way, Elon Musk can buy your company and fire you tomorrow easily, right? Or other kinds of Elon Musk. But if you started your own organization that has an impact on humanity, where you earn money and decent money, every day you go to work, is that work or is that fun? It's fun because you're doing something you love. 3, it has a direct impact on humanity. Therefore, you get to meet your ikigai, which is a lovely philosophy from Japan that talks about you fulfilling all the various needs that you need. And that from that day onwards, you will be the most powerful human being on the planet because you are serving humanity, but you are serving yourself, just as Jeff said. You need to take care of yourself as well and your family. Yeah. And so that's what humanity strives to do.
I love your passion, and I love that you are talking about loving it, what you do, and then that is firing you up, and then that is how you are giving this enthusiasm for sustainability and for having a better world further for the next generation. And I think that's something very important to look inwards and to see, okay, where is my place in this world, and do I want to contribute? And if I decide to contribute, then I really have to take the passion on, because this is just like not an easy journey. We all know that it's hard work. Like I see all the people who were talking at this summit, they are doing hard work. Most of them are working 14, 16 hours, and they are working not just in their own professional job, but next to it, they are also having entrepreneurship. They are also pitching. They are also doing social work, or they are 100% in social enterprises, which is nowadays they need double effort to get the funds and to pay people, and double the responsibility, because once they take on those people that you were just talking about, they really have to carry them on, because they don't want to be like Mark Zuckerberg or other people around the world. And then it's not just blaming them, because we were talking about this with Nigesh. We cannot really blame them, because their idea at their time was an amazing idea. What they do is still amazing. It's just that sometimes those big companies, they are just not profitable enough, and that's not supporting their dream. And we have to understand that these circles are here. So hiring and sending people away in the tech industry, it's also a normal cycle that is happening every single period, and it has to come, because it's just sometimes overhiring. So not to blame anyone and not to protect the people. We want to just show you both of the perspectives, and I think that's what we are doing here. Empowerment is about giving the information, and we leave the decision and the choice with you guys, how you decide and which side you are on, because that's 100% personal, right, Terry? I think that's something that we need to take into consideration, that it's a personal journey, being sustainable or not. So Betty has a comment here. You earlier said people, profit, planet. So what is the third phrase? You said what kind of profit? I think it was people, planet, and profit, right?
The organization profits the people, the planet, and obviously your own company, because it's called the triple bottom line, to make sure that the people who work for you and all the other stakeholders, including your customers, your vendors, all profit with you. Yeah. And then obviously the planet profits with you, because you don't destroy the planet. And ultimately, when you do that, your company profits. And that's what they refer to as a triple bottom line. And that's essential. And by the way, that actually makes very good business sense. Because if you run a company and the company starts looking at ways to save paper, for instance, company looks at ways to save electricity, that's all very sustainable. Yeah, that's all very responsible in looking at the environment. But all these little things that you're doing saving is saving the company money. It's re-looking at what you already are doing And that's sustainability. Most companies practice this anyway, but this aversion to the word sustainability, oh, I don't like that word. But you've been practicing all this while, and then suddenly you think that it's a bad idea. Why? Because you just don't like the word? Well, it's very unfortunate.
Did it become like these bad words, like overused by marketing, or can it turn around, like with the UN sustainability goals, like you said? So what makes people feel like very bad about it? Because that's something that we have to figure out. Like, how can we humanize it again, and how can we really show the people that it's not about the world, it's not about it's companies, but it's about us humans, right, surviving.
A lot of people ask me, say, Terry, we've seen you've been on the climate change, the climate revolution, all these protests and all that. You've been there. You seem to support the movement. And that's when I said, whoa. Actually, I'm not about supporting any movement. Okay, here's the thing. So you've got all these people creating the negativity about the Greta Thunbergs of this world and climate change and disparaging the data about climate change, saying, climate change is basically, the left trying to make sure that, we become socialists, that we don't support the fossil fuel industry, da, 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 da. And I said, I don't want to get involved in that. Guess what? If you allow people to believe that climate change is a fallacy, then what then happens is the companies that produce anything that destroys the planet will say, see, I told you, it's a joke. Climate change is not real, right? So let's continue to pillage Mother Earth. And that's why we have a problem with it. Not because of climate change per se, but we need to reset the mindset of people running businesses. And that's why conscious capitalism is what we talk about.
Yeah, I wanted to connect it back again to conscious capitalism, because I think that's the pointer here. Like, how can we... Because most of the things are top to bottom, right? So whenever we want to implement a change, it most of the time has to come from top to bottom, not just because people couldn't do anything when they are not there yet, not in the leadership, but because those in the leadership have the money and have the profit and have the support system and the network. So what would you say in the upcoming few years would be a good strategy, or is there any good strategy to accelerate the adaptation and the help the sustainability problems to a little bit slow down?
Okay, since we are in a closed room with wonderful people online listening to me, Terry Gunn is going to reveal his secret weapon. So, as you know, I have Humanity Inc. And Humanity Inc. basically reaches out to 100,000 kids for the last 3 years. And we have an audacious goal. And our audacious goal, we want to reach at least 1 billion young people. And that's our dream before I die. That's hopefully I don't die tomorrow. And the reason why we want to reach these kids is that we want to send them that same message, that they can be agents of change at any age, right? And so while we're doing that, Terry Gunny, as the keynote speaker, gets invited to speak to corporates, to conferences and all that. And my message is the same, except it's to the adults, the boomers, and CEOs and chairmen and board members. And the message is, guys, you know something? I'm suggesting that you do convert your companies to be more sustainable by adopting conscious capitalism, because over the next few years, there's going to be a bunch of kids graduating, and they are going to be going into the workforce. They're going to be consumers of tomorrow, and they're going to be very discerning as to which brand and which company they're going to support. And, if your company is not sustainable by then, you might have a problem hiring people or even selling your products, because the people that we are getting on board our movement is going to be adults. And they're going to decide for themselves. I don't need to influence them anymore. So I'm suggesting that you might want to consider moving to be a sustainable company today, just bit by bit, baby steps, so that by the next 10 years, you'll be a fully sustainable company. Nobody's suggesting that, overnight, you want to be, like a Body Shop. That took years. Anita Roddick didn't even get to see the end of it. She died. But, her legacy follows. Body Shop is a fully sustainable company. So there you go. That's how my little strategy is to speak to young people, speak to adults. So I'm perfect to do that because I have a brain of a 19-year-old, but a body of a 60-year-old. So, kind of works.
I think that's something amazing, because in the recent years we have seen the power of the consumers growing and growing and growing, and the decision-making process and everything about serving them became a little bit more of a bigger concern, because earlier you could just put in front of them anything, and because you were putting it them and you made a little bit of good marketing, then they were buying it. But today, the next generation who is coming up, they are not doing their decisions this way. So the Gen Z is already very, very they are choosing their battles, they are choosing their sides, and when they see that one company is not following up or they are not doing what they promised, they are definitely cutting them out of their lives. So if one of the other day, for example, Apple would decide to do something that is harming all those people who are buying those products, would walk away, especially from these generations. So it's a wonderful power in the hands of the next generation, which can be used well if they are aware and conscious, like you say. So giving them the consciousness as consumer is just as the same important as giving the leaders and the power holders the thoughts and the awareness about what they can do with conscious capitalism and why is it good for them, right?
Absolutely. And then following up to what Jess talked about, we talked about technology and why technology is an enabler. So today, if I ran a company that's not really sustainable, but I pretend that it is, which means it's called greenwashing, but you put all these ads saying, we're the most sustainable company, blah, blah, blah. You know what young people do? They have the power of the internet. They know how to verify whether you're telling the truth. And when they discover that you are fake,
they tweet about it.
Yes, exactly. Do you think they keep it to themselves? Like, oh, I don't need to tell anybody. No, obviously they're going to tweet to everybody, and you're dead, just like that. So this is the point you get across to boomers and older people who run companies. You don't fool around with young people. They have the sense, the technology, and the passion to make sure that the real people survive and thrive. So I suggest that you want to be authentic, real, rather than pretend. Yeah.
I love it. And you see your guests are coming and popping up in the studio again. So I see Jess and Jeff coming back. And
Cool.
So we will have this conversation with the four of us. Whenever they are ready, I will bring them up. And then we will have a conversation continuing the similar topic around sustainability, but like we put our heads together and we will brainstorm about it together. So I just wait a little bit for Jeff if he will be ready. And when I see him on the camera, then I will bring both of them up. But before we do that, how can people reach you? Tell us a little bit about this, Terry, because we know that Humanity Inc. is all around, and we can see you on LinkedIn. But what is the best way to reach out? And if they want some talks in the universities and companies, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, you can also go to terrygani.com. That's my Terry Gani, the personality. So it works this way. Terry Gani is the keynote speaker, the TED speaker, who gets hired by corporations and all that speak about a range of subjects. And of course, what I'm passionate about is conscious capitalism and heart-centered leadership. And whatever we make from that business, part of it goes to fund Humanity Inc. So when you work with people like us, we don't just deliver something, but you work through us to help humanity. And that's why it's called Humanity.
Love it. It's beautiful. Let's just bring up your friends and let's celebrate this together. And we have Jeff and Jess in the studio. I think it's
a
conversation. Let me take away banner because it's just the four of us. So I think it will be better when we are not covering out you guys. Here you go. So welcome back, Jeff and Jess. So nice to have you here in the studio, and we are continuing the conversation. We have around 20 more minutes to elaborate on sustainability and about the importance of the future and how we can, instead of just talking about, do something. So I think the first question will be that, what is your personal vision of making people not just talk about the problems, but also start to solve them? I would start with Jess because I think let's go to the lady first in the room and then we go to the gentleman.
What is my personal vision? My personal vision all right, I'll just say it how I say it to myself, is that I want the people with the largest amounts of cash, the millions and billions of dollars, to make the decisions in leadership, in governments, and what I call stewards of the money, to have the intent, first and foremost, their intent is here to make a difference to people and planet. So for me, that's my personal vision. The technology, it's not really that important. We all need certain tools, but who's at the steering wheel of that technology and the head of that company and the founder and the source of it and their intent and what they're here to accomplish, that matters more than anything.
Love it. Let's go to Jeff. Your take, your vision.
Yeah, I actually would like to echo what Jess said. I think, very often we talk about technology and we talk about, how it can help and everything, but it's really the human side. I mentioned that in my interview earlier, right? That it's, technology without humanity is just machines, automation, and, it really is getting the humans involved, right? And we could talk for hours about the human and technology thing, but we won't go down that road. But I agree. I think there's so much, there are so many resources. There's, in terms of funds, about ideas, intellect, innovation. There's a lot that humanity can bring to the table that can actually help the planet, can help fellow humans, and it's not really being utilized or it's not being deployed, I guess, in as effective a way as could potentially be.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm circling back to Terry, whether you have some thoughts on this, what Jess and Jeff has been sharing.
This is so beautiful. I'm getting very emotional because it brings me back to the time I was a kid, growing up in Penang. By the way, you guys, I'm actually from Penang as well. That along the beach on a beautiful day when the water's very calm, and there's this particular tide when you have these little organisms in there that are fluorescent when you touch the water at night. And I'd stand there and I'd take little pebbles or rocks and I'll cast them. And every time it hits, you will see the ripples coming out, but they're effervescent. There's beautiful colors of green and yellow, but they are ripples. And then when you throw one stone, it goes into a ripple this way. You throw to another stone, it goes to another ripple, and then they merge, and then they create more ripples, and the whole ocean is full of ripples. And the four of us just speaking is about what we're doing. See, thanks to Jess, thanks to Jeff, and thanks to this amazing woman, named Andrea I met 3 years ago. She's getting people like us on these platforms to continue these conversations, this narrative that opens people's hearts up. And this is what my dream is, my vision. And that's why we call Humanity Inc., because we're trying our best to bring the humane back to humanity.
Thank you. Now I got emotional. It's so good to have good people, heart-centered people, right? That's it, how we connect and how we get these goosebumps from each other, talking about all this change. And I hope that someone will hear this and we will also trigger some other people to just step into this, because I think that's the important, what we were all mentioning, that, okay, we can start all this, we will create some ripples, but then it's also about those echoes coming back, like those people standing up and doing their part on doing further ripples, so that it's not just us, it's also the other people who are following us that will make the difference. And that's coming to the next question, like in our small lives, like whatever we are, whoever we are in our own environment, what can we do daily that can help already, like starting tomorrow? What can everyone do in our own environment, whoever is listening, to help the problems that we're facing, to make it a little bit better? And I will start this time with Jeff, and then we will go in the other way. So Jeff, you're first.
Well, I really feel that, and Jaga has said vision and mission are put in very well by Andrea, end of session, where all the three speakers are in one space, beautifully designed. I mean, there is a lot of, positive energy in here. I think that nothing is too small. No action or step is too small. I mean, many of you may have heard of the butterfly effect, or the butterfly wing effect, where a butterfly flaps its wings in one part of the world, it might create a storm in another part of the world. So again, like the ripple effect that Terry talked about, you've got little butterflies everywhere flapping their wings, and they're creating the change. So if you think you're too small to make a difference, think about the butterfly, right? And if more and more butterflies are flapping their wings, they can make even more change. So that's how I feel that everyone can help in a small way, maybe in the beginning, but it does have an effect. I hope everyone who's tuned in right now will be able to leave this session and go away not just feeling positive, but doing something positive, after this. Maybe influencing other people, paying it forward, bringing that positive energy or vibe to others around them, which then will have a knock-on effect to those around those people. Like Terry said, in the end, the whole ocean will be full of these ripples, right? So that's what I think. I'd like to say I'd love to see from the as an outcome of this discussion.
Thank you so much. And circulating back to Jess.
Yes. What's something we can do? I love panel discussions, and I love sort of like tension, but I tend to agree with everything that Jeff just said. So I was thinking, okay, how can I make this sound different? The thing is that it really, like, even technology, the only thing I would say potentially to add is that being and expressing yourself and having the courage to say the things that are hard and challenging over staying safe and comfortable is, I make that sound, it's very easy to say, but it is definitely, that's when we start to make a difference to some of these narratives that are out there. We think this is a big thing that we have to change. We actually just have to penetrate the narrative. We have to shift the conversation for the planet. So if that's the case, then we have to shift our own individual conversations daily. It's all ours. I remember this day that I got up one day and said, I'm no longer going to have a friend. This was 20 years ago. My friend and I used to gossip about this girl and at work. And one day I decided not to do it anymore. And I went to my friend, I don't think this is healthy, and I'm not going to do it anymore. And he was kind of shocked. And then he came back and said, it isn't, but I didn't know how to stop doing it either. And it was this recognition that someone's waiting for someone to go first, but we all want the same thing. So for me, it's like, just take that step and have that courage to say what's really honest for you. And that has such an impact on everyone around you. So I would just add that.
Love it. Honesty.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for adding this. Terry?
I must say thank you, Jeff and Jess. I mean, what you shared is so beautiful, because that applies to everybody. As long as all of us get that gem of an idea and apply it to ourselves, there's so much change that can come out of it. Mine is very simple. Just as you were speaking, I was looking at my dustbin. Why am I looking at my dustbin? Because I love challenges, and I set these sort of ridiculous challenges to myself. And so it starts with a dustbin. As some of you know, I now live alone in my home because my family's split into two different countries. My challenge with the dustbin is how I can actually get away with the end of the week with almost no garbage. And that's not about eating out and all that. I eat in all the time. And it's just an amazing challenge. It meant that just that silly thing about I don't want anything in my garbage. I cleaned it. It's so clean and polished inside the rubbish bin that I don't want to dirty it. So now this crazy challenge is when I go to the supermarket or the wet market, I say, oh, I'm going to buy these things, but I don't want a plastic bag. And you start doing these little things that started with this ridiculous challenge of not wanting rubbish in your. And then when you have, the choppings and all that, what do you do with it? And so people said, Terry, you go and get a compost bin. I said, no, I'm too lazy. So I actually chop them in fine pieces and I distribute them all around the plants in my house. So the plants become its own compost and it kind of works. Now, what's so silly about this rubbish is because then it applies to every other part of my life, including it's my challenge if I walk, because I do my morning walks and, I see tons of people up in the hills. And my challenge was, how would it be if I said good morning to every single person I meet? And of course, there'll be, that kind of response or hi, whatever. And I keep doing this and, on and on and on. And it's a challenge to see even the grumpiest person. So like eventually give up after 10 days of me saying hi. And then he goes, hi, and that's great. And then I go to a restaurant and in the restaurant, I try and see how I can make life more beautiful for this waiter or waitress that's living a drudgery of a life, serving people in a hot coffee shop. And, just wish them something beautiful. And then you see them light up. And then as you do these things, it lights you up as well. And that's my wish. And I wish, it's a contagion effect that if I share this with everybody, perhaps this can go viral.
Well, and it's for free. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, like smile and being kind, it's free. So it's so easy to give it. It's just that you have to really like wake up, go out there and then do it. There's nothing. It's not even tiring, I believe, because after a walk like that, after talking to people like that, what you get back, it's exponential because the inspiration, the positive day after a compliment that you gave, after seeing the person to smile and seeing them happier, it makes us happier, right? I mean, I don't know whether you met with this feeling, but I think it's so acceleration of everything what we do in life. And I think that's the main goal of being human. And we are social beings. I mean, no one can deny that. So thank you so much, guys. It was really amazing, all the points that you have. And I think I will take a direction because all of you are already parents, I believe. And if not, you are also educators. So we can take it from this perspective, how we can inspire the generations, how we can inspire our kids, how we can take it to the next level at home with the kids, how we can implement things that they can experiment with. I don't know. I love experiential learning. So let's go to first Terry. We never started with you, and then we go around again.
You that word is very much who I am. It's about experiential learning, and I've done so much study on the human mind, and I'm writing a book about it. One day it'll be launched at some point. I'll tell you all about it. But one of the things that's very sad, and I don't want to take this path, is we've discovered that one of the sad ways that human beings change is through pain. And I know this very well because I've been there. I couldn't change. I had a locked mind. And the only way I changed was through pain. But I felt that, that shouldn't be the way. We shouldn't allow people to have to go through pain to make that massive shift. I felt that the pandemic was part of this massive shift. It got people to look at each other because we were stuck at home. We got people to care for each other, something that we never did, because it's all about me, me, me. Suddenly, you're stuck in a whole bunch of homes and you got to see whether the old lady down there has any food because she can't go out. It brought humanity together. So sometimes when there's this huge sort of knock on our heads, collectively, we wake up. So, but at the same time, I felt that, does it need to be like that? Can we find ways that we don't need to knock people on the head to change? So this is my journey and hope that could be part of the experiential learning that all of us can take home.
Thank you so much. Jeff, your take on the future little ones that will be becoming the adults very soon?
Well, I think, again, echoing Terry's sentiments, I feel that, we don't necessarily have to suffer pain or adversity to make changes, but very often until something happens to us, it could be a good thing, could be a positive thing, a massive change could be positive or negative. But until that happens, sometimes we just sort of trundle along in our own way and, just kind of, same old, right? I do feel that everyone has their own journey and things happen to them in in its own time. It's not a question of, some like, oh, I'm more aware of such and such and no one else is, or we're all on different paths and at different points of our journey. But what we can do is along the way help each other. As Terry said, during the pandemic, we would check on others, and it brought people together in many ways. So if we can ourselves individually, if we can grow and develop and help effect positive change, we grow and develop ourselves individually and collectively, that has that effect where we can help others as well. So it's and without sort of thinking, oh, this person needs my help or I must help this person. It's really like, can we be there for each other? Can we support each other along the way? We may be at different points of the journey, but I mean, that's what I do with my daughter, right? So we might explain something, so this is why such and such happens, whatever, and they may say, oh, but why is that? Or I don't know why that is, or I don't really agree with this, I don't want to follow this. But we just explain, and then it's up to them to figure it out for themselves. So we it's not about telling people what to think, it's how to think, right? That's more like getting them to think about how they can make the change if they want to make the change. But again, it starts from the individual. They have to want to do something about it, and it could be a knock on the head, as Terry said, or it could just happen naturally. So hopefully less knocks on the head and more natural self-awareness, etc.
Choice or a chance, right? I mean, that's the thing that is happening. Let's go to Jess.
Yes, and just to your point, I think you said something about kids, bringing kids into this. Yeah, kids or children, young people, they're largely untouched with all of the trauma that adults seem to have carried on with them throughout life. So they are more open to being experimental, and they are more open to trying things out and not knowing anything about it and just throwing themselves into it and allowing the process to unfold. So I think, and to what you guys were talking about, pain, I have really thought about this and thought, I have this saying, it's like if there was like one quote and it had my name on it in Google, it would say this, and it would just be, you can't solve a problem you never give yourself. So a lot of people talk about that they want to do this and that, but you've got to give yourself the problem. So rather than, with kids at least, rather than thinking, well, I've gotten through all of this from pain, which a lot of adults have got a lot of experience through pain. How about we talk in terms of, you can't solve a problem without giving yourself that problem. And then there's a process in which where you start and what you go through does look a little bit like pain. So the process of solving a problem is cumbersome. You grapple with it. It's unknown. You sometimes don't have the answers, and you've got to make decisions and forge forward without anything. You're in the dark. And that in itself, that process, I want to normalize that process and have that be, give yourself a problem and solve it without actually knowing anything. Learn to make decisions with little information. Learn to own everything that happens inside of that decision you make, because it may not go well, but take that in your stride and keep working through it. So that's what I think is great to offer young people, rather than go through a lot of trauma in life and then you'll come out inspired. I do think there's a different way, but we can leverage the process of what transformation looks like.
And I love this, because all in all, what you see now in social media, it's about bragging of problems, which also bringing more problems, because people relate to problems much more than to the solution. And I think what you are approaching here is the creative thinking. It's the way of problem solving. It's the way of enhancing the process of solving the problem and being creative around the problem, which is linking back to what you believe in, which is innovation from scratch. So I think it's just amazing how you connected this together. So thank you so much for sharing it. Just to connect the audience, Betty was saying that she's doing already something. So she's cutting the fruits, peels it into small pieces and spreading it into plants. So that's something that, thanks to Terry, she will also follow. And I think that's also nice that she's also doing the good morning wish practice, which is something nice to do in the mornings and to greet the people. And then also Jeg is saying that thank you for human experience, extraordinary. Love all your inputs and the positive energy, and thank you very much, and enjoying the sessions with us, guys. So I think as we are approaching the end, we made a little impact already, and I'm really happy about making the days of the ladies positive and inspiring everyone who is watching this video. But I would just say goodbye, and I would like you to say goodbye with a little message, a little inspiration for the people out there around sustainability, about a better life, about inspiration, about innovation, whichever way you want to take it. So what would be your message today for the people out there, for whoever you want to address it? Let's just be 100% vulnerable and 100% ourselves, and be honest about this message. What would you like to send out there into the universe today? And I will start with Terry, I think, with this one.
Oops. Well, I'll end off with the typical line that I end off in many of my talks, especially young people. I always ask them, you guys are so fascinated with these toys, right? That everybody's got one, and everybody lives with that one all the time. You spend more time with it than anything else in the world, not even your girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, whatever. So you have a love affair with the digital device. That's great. But I said to them, what do you see when you put this up to anybody? Well,
yeah, we could see the reflections.
Exactly, you see reflections. So my question is, what is it about us that we are so enthralled by looking at stuff on digital devices, whether it's Netflix or HBO or whatever, because we're looking at stories. That's why storytelling has become such a powerful thing. And the reason why we're looking at stories, be it in a movie, series, or whatever, or in other people's lives, and gossip, is because at some point in a story, there is a protagonist in it, and there's always a hero character in it. And the reason why we're so drawn to this hero character is because I believe that residing in every human being, there's this beautiful hero just waiting to come out. And so it's people like us and people on board listening to us could be the ones that help cajole, persuade these heroes to come out in as many people as possible. And that's my little wish.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Jess.
Oh, that's a big question, Andrea. So let me see. What do I want to leave people with? I think life is full of moments. And that's all life is. There is nothing else to it. It's just moment by moment. It's just moments, and then we die. And I think sometimes we overcomplicate what life is. It's really nothing more. And so for me, it's like, what is going to be the most juicy, fun, fully expressed version of you that would just love to live out those moments and have the courage to live that life. And sometimes it can be so super simple as well. Some of those things can just be listening to your partner and not being distracted by those toys, those iPhones and those devices. Some of it can be so simple, but having the courage to live out those moments in life and really express yourself, I think that's what I want to leave people with.
Moments
Yes.
in life. Thank you so much. And then we are circling back to Jeff.
Well, I love what Terry and Jess said. I think it's, we learn from each other. And what Terry said, we are all heroes in our own stories. And, each of us is a hero. I wanted to actually say that, you can make the change, each of us. When I say you, I mean you individually and we, the collective. We can all do something. We can all make it. So we are all heroes, not just in our own stories, but we can be in others as well. And life is a series of moments, is exactly what Jess said. It's every moment you have a choice. Who do we want to be, or what do we want to do in each moment? Because before we know it, it's all over, right? I remember there was an actor, Michael T. Williams, I think he was in Forrest Gump. He played Bubba Gump. And it was an interview with him many years ago, and he said, "What are you going to do on the dash?" Which is when you see a tombstone, the someone like they were born on this day, this month, this year. Then there's a dash, and then when they passed away, when they left this physical plane, right? So he said, "What are you going to do in that dash? That line? All you see is a line on the tombstone, but there's a whole life there. There's a lot that happens in that time. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do, because no one's going to know what you did. It's just a dash on the tombstone." So that always stuck with me, like, what you want to do. And it's exactly what Jess said as well. We have a series of moments. It's moment after moment. Let's make the most of each moment and make the world a better place.
So make that dash memorable and beautiful and joyful, and not just for yourself, for everyone around you. I think that's the conclusion of today's sustainability panel and all this afternoon. And I when I started to talk to Terry about this idea of, okay, let's have your friends here, I was like, well, it must be fun, and let's see how he will come up with it. But I think at the end, this is one of the most human panel I have had throughout this 4 weeks already, and I think it's beautiful to bring out all the heart-centered people, and as Terry is, as they're their friends, all together, bringing the same positive vibe, the smart goals, the innovation, the sustainability, the thinking about the future, how we can make this all better for ourselves. And I think we have to also mention the people already changing and exchanging ideas in the chat, and then taking it from each other and maybe doing it differently tomorrow, and happy plans. I mean, just the small thing that can change in a person's life. And thank you so much, guys. Thank you for Betty, for Jack, for Alchan, for being here and conversing with us, because being part of the conversation, that's where it starts. When you really show up, and when you are really here when the things are happening, I think that makes a difference between just talking and speaking in front of people, and instead involving and acting together and putting those heads together. So thank you, guys. I'm thoroughly thankful for your afternoons. It's Saturday, so I appreciate it that you chose to be here, chose to spread the good news, the values, and to inspire others. And this video will stay up, so if you're watching it in hopefully not 30 years, well, I hopefully in 5 years or 10 years, there will be already something changing, just because they will reach the 1 billion people, just because Jess has been already having those 10 innovative people and those unicorns, and also for Jeff to have all the people that he mentors to be amazing leaders. So kudos to you guys. Let's keep on doing what we are doing, and let's have those ripple effects and butterfly effects all together.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Thanks, everyone.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Oops, there was a problem with the tech, but we are still here.